everybody. Welcome to Game Day View, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Patrick Claybon here. Glad to be back with Greg Rosenthal and Cynthia Freeland. An incredibly huge thank you to Andrew Siciliano, who came in at the very last second. You did not want to see me last week. To work with these guys, how did it go?
It was fantastic. We missed you, but
we did miss you, but we really appreciate Andrew Siciliano.
There you go.
Siciliano.
I had to get it. It's like the one thing I've ever said that I think is funny.
Cynthia claims that's the only thing she's ever said. She's going to have like 12 more great one-liners throughout this show. Let's look back at last week to see how everything went.
Nah.
You don't want to look back, Greg? Why is that?
Had some tough picks.
Well,
struggled. Double crown. Not mine.
Greg is still the season-long leader.
Yes.
But after 7-7 week, Cynthia and I rocking some crowns, celebrating, and now just 2 games up on Cynthia. And some folks might think you're slipping, Greg.
Hey, Rosenthal, it's Siciliano. Did Chase Daniel intimidate you last week? You know, we had him in the A block. Did that throw you off? Is that why you went 7-7? Oof, 7-7. Even I went 9-5. Did I intimidate you sitting in for Patrick? Maybe intimidation is the wrong thing. I mean, we're the same height. I don't think I'd actually intimidate you. But Patrick went 9-5. Cynthia went 9-5. I went 9-5. Now, I don't know if my numbers really count, but they're better than 7-7. Cynthia and Patrick are right behind you, man. They are only 2 behind you. Are you ready for the second half, buddy? I don't know. You keep going 7-7. And you're going to keep seeing these videos of people questioning your game-picking acumen week in, week out.
I mean, not seeing these videos are got to be motivation enough. I'm coming for you this week. I saw Chase Daniel back in the green room. He was trying to intimidate me, but I've been working out lately, got that personal trainer. I'm not afraid of anything.
Woo! Greg Rosenthal.
You have a personal trainer? Why are we just talking about this now? I want to know.
Because, eventually Greg maxed out what he could do by himself. It's time to mine the resources of other people's brains so we can move those large, heavy circles. Let's get to some football. Huge Super Bowl rematch coming up Monday night between the Chiefs and the Eagles. These teams battled it out for the Lombardi back in February. Patrick Mahomes had 3 touchdown passes. On his way to the Super Bowl MVP, the Chiefs won it 38-35, the 3rd highest scoring Super Bowl of all time. Both KC and Philly currently sit atop their respective conferences. Donna and Ed Kelsey are going to meet Andrea and Scott Swift for the first time at the game. The dad's an Eagles fan. Travis had him wearing a Chiefs lanyard in Argentina. That's awkward. Who wins Monday night, Greg?
Well, this is a little awkward for me, at least. I'm picking the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game 27-24. It's awkward because I got that crown on my head by picking the Eagles every time Jalen Hurts has started a game since the start of last season, and that's worked out. They're 23-4 in those Jalen Hurts starts, but I think they lose this one because of their secondary. The cornerbacks for Philadelphia are just not playing well. And there's this whole idea, well, they got hurt at safety and their linebackers aren't as good before. And that's true. They're bad in the middle of the field, and the Chiefs are good there. Rashee Rice could have a big game. But the outside cornerbacks haven't been playing that well either. James Bradbury, since that Super Bowl, which was a tough moment for him, has given up a lot of big plays. Darius Slay, 32 years old. Still the best cornerback on that team, but not playing at the same level that he used to.
Medium play Slay?
Big play Slay's awesome, but
medium
I do
play
think,
Slay.
Like bye-week Andy Reid, that's a real thing. What was it, one-liner?
My medium play Slay.
Snagging a weapon from Cynthia there.
I know, that was me. I just feel like Andy Reid's going to find a way to create open receivers after 2 weeks.
I agree with you. I actually have an even bigger score than that. I have 27-23 in this matchup, only because Taylor Swift's going to be there. Obviously, that's such a math tick. No, really, when I'm looking at this, it's actually the Chiefs' defense that really steals the deal. If you look at the points per game last year, it was 21.7 allowed. This year, 15.9. A large part of that is because they're really good up front. It's not just Chris Jones and then kind of everyone else. It's a really nice dynamic of Steve Spagnuolo concepts coming together earlier than we typically see it. Last year, they won sort of as their defense was also getting better. This year, they're winning because their defense is really good. George Karlaftis, sometimes he doesn't get enough love. I'm going to give him some love here. He has really taken a big step forward this season.
Okay, I will say the person's name that, oddly enough, we haven't said yet, and that is Patrick Mahomes. I've got almost the same score as Greg.
But he's not dating Taylor Swift.
No, he's not. Him and Brittany are doing great. 28-26. Chiefs win, mainly because I'm taking the healthier quarterback here. I'm concerned. We haven't seen Jalen Hurts since the knee injury. He had the bye week, but it's not hard any year to find Patrick in statistics, but here he is on 3rd and long on tight window throws, a minimum of 10 attempts so we can get rid of like Derrick Henry throwing passes to the goal line. He's the best in the league, and it's not even close. Patrick Mahomes routinely, like, look at 3rd and 20 here. He goes into the coop with a shovel, and he's going to come out with some chicken salad. Finds guys open. They make plays. There was the play at the start of the season where Sky Moore had a chance to make a catch against the Detroit Lions. Didn't come out, but he's playing spectacularly. In fact, Hurts and Mahomes. Yeah, go ahead. Meme us away. We've all got
I feel bad about this one.
I do, too.
I don't like it.
We'll see. If Jalen wasn't hobbling around towards the end of the game, I would probably have taken the Eagles. But him and Mahomes, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. But there is a guy who's become must-see TV. It's the Pastronaut.
Out of the shotgun on 3rd down. Cam Jordan got around the right tackle. Dobbs looks, sees nothing. Now he runs out to the left. He points to somebody. Turns to the 5. To the end zone. Touchdown! Incredible! Dobbs takes the snap out of the shotgun. Great drop. Throws to the end zone. And touchdown! And Dobbs has beaten them by land. And he just beat them by air. 23-3 Minnesota.
One of the best things about Josh Dobbs is the way he could work that crowd. Vikings and Broncos Sunday night. The Vikings winning 5 straight with a couple different quarterbacks. Russ and the Broncos have also been cooking with wins over KC and Buffalo recently. Cynthia, how do you see Sunday night going?
Well, I think the Pastronaut pulls off the upset. I have 23-22 in this matchup. Why? Because of what Josh Dobbs can do with his legs. That was a really big missing piece of this Minnesota offense. And this guy actually has 134 rushing yards over expected on scrambles this season. Next closest quarterback, Patrick Mahomes with 58. That's a huge discrepancy. That gives him a huge advantage. And by the way, fantasy players, this guy has targeted tight ends at the highest rate of any quarterback this season.
Ooh,
AKA TJ Hawkinson.
And I love when Cynthia goes upset. The model loves the underdog, and I agree with it, too. I'm taking the Vikings. I mean, they're the team of America right now. And you mentioned Josh Dobbs on the ground. He's not the only one that's going to get rushing yards in this game. How about a little Ty Chandler? I like the juice that he showed a week ago. Some of his best plays got called back from penalties, but the juice you showed me, Ty, it was real, even if it didn't count in the box score. The Broncos defense, the whole idea is like, oh, they've gotten respectable lately. That's true. They're not as bad as they were. But even if you start the season after they gave up 70 points to the Dolphins, they are 29th in success rate in terms of their rush defense. They don't stop anyone on the ground. They didn't stop the Bills on the ground last week, and I think the Vikings win the game that way.
They managed to not stop the Buffalo Bills on the ground last week. James Cook was averaging almost 9 yards a carry, but the Broncos still won. So I'm anti-fun here. As much as I love Josh Dobbs, I am going with the Denver Broncos to win this game at home because of the thing Greg just kind of poo-pooed away. Like, the Broncos are playing better defense. They are. They are.
They're not going to get 9 turnovers
Certainly they are.
It helps. Yeah, turning the ball over is spectacular, and it's not just fumbles. In fact, if you go back to week 5, since then the Broncos defense has gotten 7 interceptions. Wow. They're top 10 in the league in adjusted yards per attempt allowed. Shout out to Vance Joseph because, yes, they got run all over. They were getting blown out in stadium after stadium, at home and away. But the Broncos are better, and I think they win on Sunday Night Football. And folks are going and maybe signing that Russell Wilson apology note that Cortland Sutton was posting, as we did find a teammate that's a big Russell Wilson supporter. It took coming over to Denver, but Russ has got one. Moving on to Texans.
Come on, Tyler Lockett was at the wedding.
Yeah, okay. There's a few. A lot of unfair stuff last year. The Texans have surprised everyone this season. The talk of the town, rookie C.J. Stroud, making his case for MVP as a rookie.
C.J. one package, Boone. Here's the snap. Stroud looking. Stroud firing downfield and caught by Schultz at the 46-yard line. Now motion by Boone. C.J. takes the snap, throws over the middle, hits Noah Brown, breaks the tackle 30, Noah 25, Noah 20, and he's wrapped up at the 20-yard line. Timeout called with 5 seconds to go. Here's the snap, here's the spot, here's the kick, plenty of leg, and it's good! The Texans walk off with a win. Yes! Cincinnati. They take it 30-27. Matt Amendola at the buzzer. The Texans walk away with a win that we'll never forget.
Never forget, definitely for Matt Amendola, who got signed that week because of the injury to Kaimi Fairbairn. He comes in, gets a walk-off game winner. The Texans have won 3 of their last 4. In his return last week, Kyler helped lead the Cardinals to a win. Greg, how do you see this one going?
I see the Texans winning this game 27-23, but I see the Cardinals keeping it close, threading that needle. But I got to roll with the Texans because they're my son Walker's new favorite team. He's reminded me to say that on the show for weeks. It's because of the little guy, Tank Dell, and it's just because they're fun to watch. Tank Dell out here repping for all the small guys out there, 5'8", 165 of pure muscle. And you know what? He's opening the minds, I think, of GMs around the league. It's like, okay, if we got a little guy, he's got to be in the middle, like an Andrew Hawkins or a Cole Beasley. He's just a slot guy. No, how about Tank Dell getting those contested catches, winning on the outside, winning deep and on the boundary? He is better. Like, no matter how good you think Tank Dell is, I think he's better than that. He gets open as much as anyone in the league. C.J. Stroud is getting help, and Nico Collins back this week, too.
The Jags are going to be so mad that Walker Little is no longer Walker's favorite player anymore. I'm not going to tell the Jags. Oh, wait, I just did. Oops. Sorry, Walker. I have an even bigger win for your son's favorite team, 28-20 in this matchup. Why? It looks like they figured out the run game a little bit. Devin Singletary really came on strong in last week's win against the Bengals. It kind of came out of nowhere, except for the fact that we sort of saw it coming, meaning we saw Singletary with some meaningful run earlier than last week, and then really against the Bengals defense, he was providing that outlet that I think all thought Dameon Pierce was going to do earlier in the season. Yeah, that's a huge help for C.J. Stroud. And by the way, we talked about him as a potential MVP as a rookie. Well, I think some people think it's about 3.85% likely. Your girl thinks it's like 4.5% likely, which is a lot more likely than 3.8 for anyone who cares.
But not particularly likely.
But
it's
still
more likely than other people think.
Yeah, that little bit when
Delta.
the range is
That's how you get edges.
That is very edgy of me.
There's an edge for you folks. I think the Houston Texans also have the edge. I also enjoy Walker Rosenthal, but I think it's 21-24 because the Cardinals, as Greg said, are going to thread that needle because Kyler Murray is back and he's effective. I hate that you are now a fellow ACLian. I hate that it happened, Kyler, but the way that he bounced back looked very good and so much to be excited about, especially there was a late third down conversion that the Cardinals absolutely needed, and Kyler just turned and burned in pure Kyler Murray fashion. I think we go back and we have some questions about the way the Arizona Cardinals operated. Here was that third down. This is when you knew, okay, K1 is back.
Are you moving that well post ACL surgery?
No, I never moved that well. Just hobbling along. But glad to see Kyler back on an offense that I now think is functional, although they used to have an offensive genius calling the plays. Coming up, are the 49ers officially back? They got a big one with Baker and the Bucs in Santa Clara. Our picks coming up right after this quick break.
NFL Game Day View is presented by Mercedes-Benz and the completely reimagined GLC. The all-time great SUV just got an all-time upgrade.
Purdy coming left. He's got room to run. Purdy now going to backpedal and throw it for the end zone into a crowd. Caught by Brandon Ayuk. Touchdown! Center a 5-step drop. Now going to pump and throw down the sideline. Kittle! He's got it and he's gone! Touchdown! Going to roll Purdy right. Going to plant, lob, throw, wide open. Juszczyk. Touchdown! Juice!
It's time for the Drive to Excellence presented by Mercedes-Benz as the 49ers were able to score all those touchdowns in the 3-game losing streak last week by putting a 34-3 beatdown on the Jags in Duval. Now they play host to the Bucs on Sunday. Is it 2 wins in a row, Cynthia?
It is, and this one's a 10-point win. I have 26-16 in this matchup. We've given a lot of love to the Niners, and we're going to keep giving them love, but I do want to point out that I think Rachaad White has sort of turned an important corner. That's why it stays closer than whatever number you just said before. If you're looking at Rachaad White, his last 20 little passes, that's one of them right there. He caught all 20 of them. That's something that Next Gen Stats said he had just a 4.8 probability of doing, but he did it anyways. I think this is meaningful because they've really been trying to figure out the run game for like 2 years. I've watched these Todd Bowles press conferences, and he's like, somebody please run the dang football. And I think that's going to be a big focus in this one. It's going to slow things down and just help kind of keep everything on track in Baker Mayfield, in structure a bit more.
Yeah, that number you mentioned, it was 11.5. And we're talking Bucks here because we both think the Bucks will keep it closer than that. I have a 23-17 game, 49ers over the Bucks, but even closer, and it's because the defensive line in Tampa, I see it coming together. Vita Vea. Sometimes they're using him on the edge right now. Imagine having to block that guy on the edge. He is just a total maniac. Kalijah Cansey, their first-round pick, starting to play better. Let's go with Shaq Barrett. He's been around forever, number 9. He is fantastic. And then even their rookie, Yaya Diaby. I just wanted to say Yaya Diaby has had a couple sacks lately. A nice defensive line.
One more time.
Yaya Diaby.
Perfect.
Against an offensive line that's not that great. So I'm not totally buying that the 49ers are just going to crush everyone.
I am buying that the 49ers are going to crush this particular team. I do have the Niners covering 31-17, mainly because Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel were back, and we saw just how much that was a huge deal against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You want on-off stats? How about this? 6 games in full with Deebo Samuel. The 49ers are scoring 33 points per game. They had 17 points per game without Deebo Samuel. He makes everything better. And normally you look at the total numbers when a guy is missing and you say, oh, well numbers are going to go up for this guy with that guy out. Everybody's numbers get better when 19's on the field, including the team. And so I also have them being better than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, except with more points than both Greg and Cynthia. Yeah, more better, because that's what we enjoy. These are not the more better games, if you like football points. The Steelers and the Browns. The lowest over-under of the entire weekend, 32.5. Oof. And then the Giants make their way on this graphic, and the Jets, yet again. Seems like that's a weekly occurrence. 36.5 there. Jets, Bills, 40. And the Titans and the Jags, 40.5 as of Friday. That Browns-Steelers game, again, expecting to be low scoring. Deshaun Watson out for the rest of the season. Rookie Dorian Thompson-Robinson gets the start here. How do you see the second start of the season for DTR going, Cynthia?
Well, a points fest compared to that board.
Okay.
I have 18-17 in this matchup. I really want to point out the change at running back. Jaylen Warren now named the starter. Najee Harris, I guess, not named the starter. But if you look at how effective and efficient they've been, so let's just look at the past 4 weeks. So let's just kind of forget the beginning of the season and look at the past 4 weeks. This is a team that has significantly improved. They're in the top half in terms of EPA per dropback against the pass, and they're in top 10 in the run game. That is a huge difference. The O-line's playing better. They're blocking better. This is a team that's going to make the playoffs now. And is that spicy?
I think so, when you've been outgained every week.
Well, listen, Steelers fans, you can come at him this time instead of me. I'm saying you're making the playoffs. I always hear from Steelers fans. I'm picking you this week, and I'm saying you're going to the playoffs, so you can't be mad at me.
Well, I think, to Greg's point, the Steelers fans also know that the offense hasn't been very good, but they are improving. And eventually you just have to pick the Steelers because the offense did look better last week. And the last time that we saw Dorian Thompson-Robinson, again, making his first career NFL start playing against the Baltimore Ravens, it did not go well. He was 19 of 36 through the air. They bring in P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker's opportunities don't go well, so it's back to DTR. But it's against this Steelers defense. They are at home. I can't continue to do it. I can't continue to say the Steelers' offense is so bad they keep winning games. So I'm taking the Steelers here, Greg.
The easy thing to do when you guys show videos from Chase Daniel, Andrew Siciliano, 2 of the most intimidating men in our business, would be to play it safe. But I'm not playing it safe. I'm going Browns. I'm going to just Greg it because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is going to be yet another starter who gets a win for Kevin Stefanski. It's not dark in Cleveland for Stefanski this week. He was born in this darkness. Think of all the quarterbacks that he's won games with. Deshaun Watson coming off his layoff was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. P.J. Walker, a couple games this season. That was fun. Let's go back in the way back.
Baker.
Who is that? Baker Mayfield with the best season of his career in 2020. He had him scoring over 30 in the playoffs. Jacoby Brissett, the best season of his career last season. Let's go even further back. Do we have any Case Keenum footage? Let's go. We won a couple games with Case Keenum.
There we go.
Kevin Stefanski is a good head coach, and I saw so many open receivers for the Browns last week against a good Ravens team. Let's get it done.
Yeah, I like that Case Keenum snuck in there because because there was one point where Baker was barely operable and they still played Baker over Casey. It's fun to take looks back through history. We're going to keep looking forward here. Still to come, Josh Allen and the Bills in, yes, must-win mode. But so are their opponents Sunday. Robert Saleh's Jets are picks for gangrene against the Bills. Next.
Want more stats? Just ask Siri. Who leads the league in touchdown passes?
And getting away, a line drive kick is Sam Martin. Gibson runs under it at the Jet 35. Starts to his left, gets to the 40, turns the corner at the 45, 50. Blockers in front at the 40, at the Bills 30, inside the 20. Stutter steps to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown! And it's a Jet touchdown! This game is over!
Oh, how long ago does week 1 feel? The Jets shocked the Bills, walking it off in overtime. We're getting the rematch Sunday in Orchard Park. Stakes are huge. What do you see taking place, Greg?
I see the Bills' running game being the difference here. The Bills win this game 20-15. And look, they've limited Josh Allen, the Jets' defense, over the years. So one way to avoid that, run the ball with Latavius Murray and James Cook, and sprinkle in a little Josh Allen running the ball too. They changed their offensive coordinator this week, getting rid of Ken Dorsey. I didn't understand it, but it doesn't mean their offense is going to suddenly be bad. They already were a top 5 group in terms of moving the ball. He just apparently called the fumble play and the crazy interception play too often. The Jets' defense is
fumble it on this one.
Right. It's so good rushing the passer that it will be low scoring, but ultimately I think they have the much more trustworthy running game.
I agree with you. I have a little higher scoring game than you, 25-16 in this matchup. When I'm looking at this one, I think about the foundation. What is that? The offensive line. This is the second most snaps played together in the league. Offensive line, 589. So they have continuity there. If you look at the left side, Connor McGovern at guard and Deion Dawkins at the left tackle position, there's like no sacks allowed since week 2. So only line that can boast that. And then on the right, Osiris Torrance, who's a rookie, he's been playing really well, and Spencer Brown. They're run blocking at a very, very great clip, like best in the league for Spencer Brown per right tackle. So when I'm looking at the opportunity to kind of build around a foundation, and if I'm Joe Brady, who clearly has been around this team and has an understanding of what makes each one, he's been there the whole time. This is not that different. He's been involved in the play calling the entire time. So it's not going to be very different. It's just going to look like probably more like safer plays. Let's get the run plays down. Let's use Josh Allen's legs. And then maybe they should have some fun. They just didn't look like they were having very much fun last week.
Call the fun play.
Yeah,
Call the fun plays, just not the ones with the turnovers, you know?
Yeah, the fumble play makes the fun play a little more difficult.
Right.
Although on the broadcast, the theory was that James Cook was playing better because anyway, I also have the Buffalo Bills here, 24-11, and let's have a Josh Allen discussion. Josh Allen is a very, very good football player. He's very good. In fact, his completion percentage over expectation right now, 4.7%. He's got 19 touchdown passes. Tua Tagovailoa has 19 touchdown passes.
Right.
Is Mike McDaniel on the hot seat as a play caller? It's just a very interesting thing that happened this week. But I think one of the things that gets lost is late in the season, Dak Prescott was turning the ball over a lot. The ball's not round. Sometimes funny stuff happens. The other team catches the ball. Josh Allen's good. The Jets, I don't know. I have 11
Jets are
points.
good too.
Jets haven't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks.
But their defense is good.
Give us a touchdown.
Yeah. All right, we all got the Bills here. It's time for Quick Picks, presented by Zillow. The Lions and Bears in Motown. Chicago expected to have Justin Fields back. Does that worry you about the Roars?
I mean, I still think this is going to be a really high-scoring game, and I think the Lions win this one 30-21. David Montgomery, revenge. A really hungry lion. He wants to get into the end zone. David Montgomery being back makes a huge difference. Sure, the Bears got a little bit better adding Montez Sweat. Their defense has been playing better. But when you add in the guy who is pass blocking his tail off, this is an opportunity for him to really, I think that Barry Sanders movie came out this week. He's going to they're both going to show their inner Barry Sanders. We're going to have 2 Barry Sanders in the field this week.
Oh.
Jahmyr Gibbs
for
and
granted,
David
by the
Montgomery.
way. The Lions across the board. We did this show for many years and it never happened. So
Nice.
beautiful.
It's restored, baby. The Titans and the Jags. The Jags currently hold a small lead in the AFC South. We thought it would be these two teams, but it's the Houston Texans. Greg, how do you see this one go?
I think the Jags find a way to get it done 23-17. That number 7 seems a little high for me because of the way the Jaguars have struggled to push the ball down the field. No team in the NFL runs shorter routes than the Jacksonville Jaguars. Average depth of target, average depth of the routes, and when they try to throw it deep, it hasn't been really effective either. Now, Trevor Lawrence, he's got a great arm. He's very talented. They've missed Zay Jones, certainly, but I think it's the offensive line that's gotten in the way. This is a matchup where you should be able to throw deep, so I'm hoping to see a good Trevor Lawrence tape of completions next.
Yeah, that would be fun. Much better television. Speaking of bad quarterback television, the Giants and the Commanders. Sam Howell actually currently leads the NFL in passing yards. I like the Commanders here, 26-8.
Stop it.
Sam Howell's playing good football
Giants
right now.
get 4 safeties in this game.
The Giants is not the 32nd ranked passing offense, and that's not just dumping on Tommy DeVito. That's Giants quarterbacking, Giants offense in general. In fact, Sam Howell would need to stand still for 7 plays and take 7 Brett Favre-ian Michael Strahan sacks to catch up to the Giants in their league-leading 54 times that they've been sacked. I've got the Commanders in a runaway here. There's going to be plenty of fireworks in Monday's Eagles-Chief game. Up next, we're taking some player props for the huge Super Bowl rematch. You do not want to miss it. Stick around, as we'll be back on Game Day View.
Super Bowl 57 starts now.
Mahomes loads a pass near side. Kelsey over the shoulder. He's got the touchdown.
Hurts looking deep. It's caught for a touchdown. A.J. Brown.
Now the ball's out. The Chiefs defense gets an incredible touchdown.
Hurts is going to run and score.
Mahomes, he's hurt. Don't underestimate how tough Patrick Mahomes is. Quick pass to Tony. He will walk into the end zone. The first lead of the game. Wide open, Sky Moore. Touchdown.
They push. They sneak. They're in for the touchdown.
One bad ankle. 25-yard scramble. 35-35 tie. The kick is good. For the second time in 4 seasons, the Lombardi Trophy has a big red reflection. The Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
How about a big red? It's time for more or less here on Game Day View as we got that big Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs. We know this one's going to have a lot of action, so let's take some player props from the game and we'll tell you more or less. Cynthia, more or less than 284 passing yards for one Patrick Mahomes.
Is this going to be? I'm not saying he's going to have a bad game, y'all. I'm just saying it's going to be less than 284 passing yards. Andy Reid coming off a bye. We'll figure out how to get this run game going. I think that's a really key and important part of what's going to happen for the rest of the season. The more runs you have, the more it eats up the clock. The more it eats up the clock, the less you have to throw. We already said the score. Just don't think it's going to be this high in terms of passing yards.
All right, so take note there, Greg. More or less than 1.5 passing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts.
Up, which finishes on top. Let's go more. Come on, Jalen Hurts. This is a tough matchup against the Chiefs secondary. It's not a statement on what's going on there, but I just believe the Chiefs are going to blitz here and there. That's just what they do. And one-on-one matchups, Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, that actually might be their best option in the red zone, not running like they usually do. The running game hasn't been working as well. More on that soon. I think Jalen Hurts is more effective through the air. Let's go more.
All right, a more for Greg there. I will take this one. Travis Kelce over under 6.5 receptions. And this is over for me because I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. And the idea that the Chiefs would win the game and Travis Kelce has less than 7 receptions would seem preposterous to me. And so based on that alone, I think 87 is still pretty good regardless of who's in the stands. But I think he's in a big game. I've got Travis Kelce. Let's go to the Eagles now. More or less, Cynthia, than 85 receiving yards for one A.J. Brown.
I know he has a streak going on of over 125, but I actually think this is the game where he gets limited, not significantly less than that, but I think it's going to be less than 84.5 yards. Why? A guy named Trent McDuffie. That's actually my son Gordy's favorite player because he went to Washington and, Gordy loves Huskies. So I'm looking at A.J. Brown and his ability against man coverage. I don't think they're going to do the things. Andy Reid's watching it. Steve Spagnuolo's watching it. They're not going to do the things that A.J. Brown's been crushing everyone's soul soul with. They're going to figure it out a little bit differently. Use some safety help. It's just going to look different. So it's not that they're going to shut him down completely, but I think it's more like 80 or 82 yards, not 86.
Okay, just a little bit less. Greg, what about this? More or less than 76 scrimmage yards for DeAndre Swift?
I'm going less for this one. I mentioned earlier, the run game just hasn't been getting going, and the whole idea is, well, we get Cam Jurgens back this week, then we can run. That doesn't sound like the Eagles to me, that the whole running game fell apart because Cam Jurgens wasn't there. Also, Kenny Gainwell is a dude. He's a dude that Nick Sirianni trusts more than Eagles fans seem to trust, and I think he's going to be a big part of this game, certainly in the passing game. This is scrimmage yards. I love the way DeAndre Swift is running. I just don't love the way this Eagles team is running as a whole, so I am going with this.
All right, I will take one more and try to end this less streak. Isaiah Pacheco, more or less than 68 yards from scrimmage.
Do it.
No,
Oh.
we're going less.
First time all season we've got.
Yeah, we just got a row of red.
Pessimism.
Down arrows. It's not necessarily pessimism. What I think is Jerick McKinnon's season. Once the calendar turns to November, we get more Jerick McKinnon, a lot of work, especially in the passing game. I know Pacheco had those plays in the Super Bowl, but we'll finish on a down note. Not necessarily down, because whenever something doesn't work out for one team, the other team makes it work. And we're a little down because today is our coworker Jack Deem's last day at NFL Media. Jack has worked on about 1 million shows for us, and we're going to miss him. A huge Steelers and Michigan State fan, so he's really going to like this last set of prop bets. Cynthia, more or less than a half a passing touchdown for Kenny Pickett Sunday against the Browns.
I mean, it's insulting.
4. I didn't make it up.
How many
I
has
just
he
answered
even
the
thrown his
question.
whole career? Like 4? Sorry, I'm taking your time here.
Listen, I'm saying more here. I think it's probably going to go to Deontay Johnson. I just feel like, I know he hasn't seen the end zone more than once in like 20 games, but I think that we get that off his back in this one. 2 in a row.
All right, Greg, let's do more or less than 61.5 scrimmage yards for Jalen Warren.
You know, on Jack's last day, we're not going less, we're going
Never.
more. This is a just Jack. I don't even know what that means. Let's go, Jalen Warren. Ever since they announced him the starter a week ago, he's averaging more than 100 scrimmage yards per game. Look, he is dynamic, and the offensive line, since they added the rookie there at right tackle into the lineup, is opening up huge holes for both
Roderick.
Warren and Jalen Warren. Yes, and so I love the way he's running the ball. Let's go.
All right, finally, we got one former Spartan legend, Kenneth Walker, going over 64.5 rushing yards against the Rams. Let's go, Sparty.
Go, Sparty. Sparty on, Jack.
I think Kenneth Walker, we've seen the numbers kind of dip mid in these past couple of weeks, but Kenneth Walker and the Seahawks run game will get somewhat active against the Rams in SoFi Stadium. I think 64.5 is easy, and there will be a victory for MSU and a victory for Jack. Congratulations on the road ahead. We are going to miss you here. But speaking of the Rams, facing a familiar foe with their season on the line, a quarterback duel between Stafford and Geno. Our picks for who's going to win. Is it Greg's love for his child or love for Geno Smith at odds yet again?
Ooh.
We'll find out after the break. We're back on Game Day View. This Thanksgiving, the NFL celebrates the second annual John Madden Thanksgiving celebration, commemorating John Madden and his many contributions to the NFL and the game of football. Packers Lions at 12:30 Eastern on Fox. Commanders Cowboys 4:30 on CBS, and the Seahawks playing host to the 49ers 8:20 on NBC. You can stream games as well on NFL Plus and on NFL Network. You could start the day off with GMFB and then some Game Day morning at 10 Eastern. And then after Green Bay and Detroit, check out Game Day highlights. And then again after Washington and Dallas, and Game Day final after that game in Seattle at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's time for Pizza pregame predictions delivered by Little Caesars. Speaking of the Hawks, before next week's Thanksgiving matchup with the 49ers, they face the Rams Sunday in L.A. You have to make a choice, Greg.
This is a very tough choice, and I don't want to choose between family and Geno because Geno is family. I'm just looking at the numbers, and I see that Sean McVay just destroys Pete Carroll regularly. So let's go Rams in an upset, 27-26. We're looking at some footage of McVay putting it on Pete Carroll over the years. Let me give you some context. 9-5, that's the record. That's pretty strong, McVay versus Carroll. But that includes 2 last-second losses last year with John Wolford and Baker Mayfield as the quarterback. Even one of those was in overtime. The Seahawks could barely get it done in this matchup, averaging 25 points per game. There is something about McVay's offense which just unwinds Pete Carroll's defense. And I don't see a dominant Seahawks team week after week. I see one that's a little vulnerable. The Rams get it done at home.
I also think the defense playing a role there. The Seahawks have never had an answer for Aaron Donald, but also another star in Los Angeles. Matthew Stafford is back, and he's firing, folks. He's second in EPA on deep passes this season, trailing only Tua Tagovailoa. The Rams have this opportunity going up at home, and I just know how much of that offense is just based on Matthew Stafford and his ability to fire it deep. That's why they made the trade. That's why they won the Super Bowl, and I think that's why they win in the upset at home, Cynthia.
Well, I have them no upset. I think that the Seattle Seahawks come next door and they win by 2 points. 23-21 is my score. By the way, if you're a fantasy manager who lost to Joe Burrow, potentially look for Matthew Stafford as an answer. There's not a lot of other answers out there. I want to talk about this guy, Kenneth Walker. We already talked about him once, but why not? On the banks of the Red Cedar, there's a school that's known to all.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Kenneth Walker, though, is the difference maker in what I believe will be where Shane Waldron now shows us what he's really up to. This is an offensive coordinator who is getting a ton of look like, and he sees he's looking over at the lines. He's like, Ben Johnson? Interesting. He's looking over at all these other names that are be floating for head coaching candidates and saying, hey, did you not see what I did last year with this crew? And I've even got more coming. My O-line's getting better, bro. That's what he's saying. So Kenneth Walker will be absolutely a huge, and you know why? You talked about it. Aaron Donald, they don't have a great answer for him. So run the football. That's a great answer.
You know what? If Sean McVay can win the Georgia State Gatorade Player of the Year award when he was in high school over Calvin Johnson, he can win this game against the Seahawks. Let's go.
Little historical fact. A fun option quarterback playing in the wing tee. Sean McVay back in the day. Expected to be high scoring. Let's take a look at the highest over-unders for the week. What about that? C.J. Stroud against Kyler Murray, 48.5 points. Also expecting the Lions and Bears to be high scoring as well, 47.5 there. So let's get some quick picks as we got a lot of points projected as well for Raiders, Dolphins, Miami coming off of the bye week. Vegas looks a lot different under Antonio Pierce. They enjoy their head coach now. Smiles abound.
Fun.
Do the smiles equal a win, Cynthia?
No, it's a fun team. But 29-19, I'm sorry, Drew, our producer. I'm looking at this team and I'm looking at the Dolphins defense and I'm looking at it up front and I'm saying, yeah, Jalen Phillips, you're really good. Zach Seiler, you are as well. I don't think we talk about Christian Wilkins. We got a lot of names here that maybe aren't these household guys, Bradley Chubb, that we're talking about every single week. We talk about Aaron Donald. Everyone knows his name ad nauseum. But this whole front and their ability to generate pressure is making huge. That guy's name is Van Ginkel.
That's a future Patriot if I ever saw
I'm
one.
telling
Look, we
you,
all
though.
have them under 12.5 points, so there's something for the Raiders.
Yes, exactly. Way closer.
Let's get to the Chargers and Packers at Lambeau. The Bolts need a win to get back to 500 to keep their playoff hopes alive. Do they do that, Greg?
I believe they do. 22-21 in a world where we keep losing these great quarterbacks. Joe Burrow this week. Herbo is getting it done. Last week, some of those throws he made against the Lions, I mean, they made me feel things, Cynthia. They made me think maybe this MVP pick I had for Justin Herbert isn't quite dead yet. They were amazing. It was kind of like he just realized, I don't care what's around me. I'm going full Herbo for the rest of the season. That's what he's going to need.
This one right here is insane.
I'm going to be honest. My heart was like, I could not. I probably needed to take some sort of heart stabilizing medicine. This was too much for me. Also, we're all really, really certain about
this.
this.
Yes, right. 1 point win. I did not feel good because there's the whole rest of the organization that I don't feel great about.
Also,
but we like Herbo.
Keenan Allen was on the injury report, just so everyone does have that context.
Yeah. And that's why we all have the slightest of margin.
Huge
Our margins
confidence.
a lot bigger in Cowboys and Panthers in Charlotte. I like the Cowboys 29-16 in this one as Dak and the Cowboys offense is playing spectacularly. And again, as I sit in this chair in the other days of the week on NFL Fantasy Live, I know there are those who are concerned about Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is getting so many opportunities. It's just not working out. Some of the touchdowns have been called back. I think Tony Pollard scores because this Panthers run defense has struggled every single opportunity that they have had. The Cowboys win at 27-17.
Honestly, this is what I'm looking for as a playoff indicator, because a very good formula for being good in the playoffs is, can you run the ball at least effectively? Doesn't need to be 9 yards a clip. It needs to be like 3 or 4 yards a clip. I need to see more from Tony Pollard to really believe that the Cowboys can go like deep into the playoffs. So I'm looking at this one as, let's get that run game in rhythm.
Right. The only good call I had all of last week, I said, look out for those secondary Cowboys players. It's an everybody eats game. They'll get Cooks. They'll get Gallup involved.
You got it. Nailed
now
it.
this week, it's a get Pollard some touchdowns week.
Yeah.
I love that at the start of the season, so many people are like, Mike McCarthy's going to ground the rock, baby. He was put on this planet to do one thing, and so were we. And that is make super bold predictions coming up. Get a pen, a paper. You can utilize a tablet, some form of keyboard. Write this down. It's coming up next on Game Day View.
Get your game day started Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern with NFL Game Day Morning. It's a Super Bowl rematch in Kansas City, but is it also a Super Bowl preview? Will Jalen Hurts outduel Patrick Mahomes? We'll break down Eagles-Chiefs from every angle.
It's off the hands of Gabe Davis and intercepted.
At 5-5, Josh Allen and the Bills are officially on the ropes. Kurt Warner will let you know if changing offensive coordinators will fix Buffalo's ailing offense. Plus, the Lions are 7-2. Michael Irvin explains where Detroit ranks among the NFC's elite. And we're joined by U.S. Army troops live in studio as we celebrate Salute to Service. All that and much more Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
It's time to write this down as we get some predictions for Week 11. Could be anything. What's your prediction?
I'm looking way past Week 11, and I'm putting the Buffalo Bills into the playoffs. Cynthia's model says they only have a 29% chance to make the playoffs.
29.5.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
I'm giving you 100% because you're writing it down. They are the first team since the 1981 Falcons to have a plus 75 scoring differential through 10 games and not have a winning record. The difference was that team had Steve Bartkowski at quarterback. We got Josh Allen, who could still win an MVP. Who do they got to pass? Oh, the Bengals, sorry. Browns, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Steelers, how about outgain someone for once? Colts, Gardner Minshew, forget it. Raiders, Chargers, it's not happening. Bills are making.
Rest in peace, AFC.
Well, mine
he's
sounds so lackluster after that. I'm looking at Josh Dobbs, and I'm really, really happy about the fact that he uses his legs so often, and I think he's going to rush for at least 30 yards. Yes. I feel like this could happen in the first half. The Broncos have been very susceptible to the pass. Josh Dobbs obviously is great on those scrambles. Why not call them? Kevin O'Connell will figure this one out. I love this.
Yeah, I appreciate you going bold, Greg. Well, me and Cynthia have
it's not
here's
even
my
that
vanilla.
bold.
Guys, I like vanilla.
Calvin Ridley is going to Canton.
All right, let's do it.
For the Hall of Fame game. No, over 48 receiving yards against the Tennessee Titans as despite the way that things came up after the bye against the San Francisco 49ers, they're not playing the 49ers every single week. I still believe in Calvin Ridley. I still believe in Trevor Lawrence and this Jaguars offense. They will be much, much better, and we will be worse without Jack Dean, but congratulations, Jack, on the new gig.
Health insurance is good.
Everything.
Everybody loves employee-sponsored health insurance, you know?
Coming up next week, we'll get you everything that you need to know for Week 12. Play along with us. Write down your predictions. Send us the memes. Send us the pictures of us in weird spots, paused.
Buy those Bills playoff tickets. It was written. It is happening. Forget the model.
In New York. For Cynthia and Greg, I'm Patrick. Thanks for watching Game Day View.